Oh, hey. Yeah, I'll get that going there. Back for another High Tide Imbibe. Been a little while. Um, I don't do this as frequently anymore, but whatever. Every once in a while, I get a hankering. Um, got a new package delivery from Tatamagouche Brewery. Go figure. I know. Um, but yeah, I got a couple new ones out of there. Honestly, just three that I'm doing tonight. That looked interesting, so I figured I'd jump on them. Why not? I had a little extra money, so I was like, yeah, let's do a Tatamagouche order. And I don't know how cold these have been at one point, and I don't know if they've warmed up enough where they might have they might have froze overnight at one point. So a little nervous that these might blow on me a little bit, but we'll see. But first one I got. This is Observe Brett Lager. It's 6.4% alcohol by volume. And let's look at that on Tatamagouche's website here. Where is the button? There it is. So we got it here. It says Observe blends the easy drinking nature of a Pilsner with the layered depth of a barrel aged Brett beer. And so, if you're not familiar, basically they're using natural yeast to ferment this instead of like a cultivated yeast. So, Brettanomyces, of course, much like Belgian beers tend to do. Floral French hops lead to notes of, I don't need the tasting notes, none of this stuff. Yeah, it's got bread in it, so it's going to ferment the sugars a lot slower. It's most likely going to give you a little bit higher alcohol and make it a drier beer. Generally, that's kind of the big outcome. It's going to be a drier beer with some more fruity, estery flavors, is kind of the thing you're expecting here. So it'd be like a Pilsner with, like you get all kinds of. That's one of the beauties of something like this. Much like a farmhouse ale or a saison or something like that in the more traditional sense, where it's kind of just using whatever natural ingredients are available to you, and also using whatever natural yeasts and stuff are sort of in the area. You can get all kinds of combinations of flavors. You could get something that basically tastes like a Czech Pilsner, but it's got like a pronounced like stone fruit kind of character to it, or something like that, because the Brett is going to really kind of decide what the esters are going to be like coming from the yeast, and it's probably going to be estery and yeasty forward compared to just a standard lager, where in all that cases the malt will be much more involved. All right, it didn't blow. That's good. That's a good sign. There we go. So pour this fucker. All right. Look at the can again. It's got a bunch of hot air balloons on it. So, it's pastel-y. Let's see what it's. Oh, I didn't even read the ingredients. It says here, like I said, it does use Brett, but contains barley, oats, and wheat. Also has yeast, hops, of course, but they put some spelt in this as well for whatever reason. Okay. Oh, here we go. Jake Campbell says your friend Chris Peters says hi. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure he's thinking about me. I don't know. Probably squatting in an apartment somewhere. Let's go your home on this fucker. Oh yeah. Okay. You definitely get the Brett character in here. Mm. It's got that what back in the day one would call horse blanket. That was one of the tasting notes. Often lobbied on like a Belgian beer that had like a really funky kind of sour, almost kind of smell to it. It would be horse blanket. Um, what would be the other descriptors? Oh, like a kind of a cheesy smell. Getting a little bit of the old horse blanket on this. That's taking me back. Come some sort of nice sweet fruitiness in there. I can't quite pin down quite what it smells like. Maybe apricot, something along those lines. You're still getting some graininess, some innate graininess and stuff, a little bit of mustiness. The oats and the spelt like kind of coming up as well a little bit. Jake Campbell says he went from beer reviews to metal elitist in a matter of 7 years. Yeah, he did. Not a lot of people in the beer review community quite liked him, so he got the fuck out of that real quick. But I mean, he builds himself up. Some of his channels actually had pretty decent, like subscribers and stuff, and he was actually like getting people actually sending him money for some fucking reason. I don't get why, but he's of course I'm not a doctor, but he seems like a textbook narcissist to some degree, where he buddies up to people, he sort of suckers them in for a while. He can kind of play nice, but the cracks start showing really quick. If you side eye him or question him or anything like that, he immediately turns on you. And then of course he gaslights you and like, oh no, I didn't mean that, brother. Please keep giving me money. Please keep being my friend. Whatever kind of bullshit. He does that to everybody. It's a sad state of affairs. All right, so this smells really good. Let's get into the taste. Cheers. He's the Regina George of the metal community. You'll have to familiarize me with who that is. I'm not quite tracking there. Oh, and here's Average Joe to come in, fucking run his mouth. You're not a Dr. Lee. You're my doctor. Dr. Love, that is. Oh, well. Hope all's well, dear. I'm doing all right, I guess. Still living, if that's a good thing. But hope you're doing well, sir. I know you were having the COVID for a little while there. Hopefully, you're fully recovered from that now. No lasting, lingering effects. Jay Campbell, Mean Girl. Okay, yeah, okay. I saw Mean Girls when it came out, and it's one of those movies that totally left my mind because there was no nudity in it. So, all right, so this is very dry. It's got a little bit of that barnyard funkiness, a little bit of that sourness in the background. But yeah, like the big thing this does is this makes it a really dry beer, very, very dry beer. A little bit of honestly, the aroma is really translating to the taste big time. The esters that are bringing out that funkiness, bringing out that kind of little bit of a cheesy character, that horse blanket character. There you go, the horse blanket. I should get $5 for every time I say horse blanket. Horse blanket. That comes out in the taste too, but it's pretty mild. And of course, the body on this is a lot lighter than an ale. So, like a Belgian ale would be a little bit thicker on the body. Would probably be a bit more carbonated in general too, which puts a weight to it. This is more like an easy drinking version of something along those lines. It's very interesting. I don't think I've ever had a lager with Brett in it before. So, Average Joe saying, "Yeah, I'm all back to normal now." That's excellent. Thinking about rage quitting. I'm messenger chat though. About time. Am I right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, no better time than the present to rage quit that chat at this point. And you fly under. I mean, you barely post there, and you fly under the radar so much that you probably could sneak out for a while. Maybe for a while. Um, And this is Brett Logger sounds like fun. Honestly, good old Tatamagouche. Yeah. Tatamagouche does some interesting stuff. Oh yeah, some more of those funky cheeses. Blue cheese, maybe some gorgonzola, smoked Gouda, Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of smoked Gouda, guys. Fall on my head and die. Did I say that? Oh. Jake saying, I heard Chris was apparently arrested some years ago because he bashed a girl's head in to the point where she now has brain damage. I don't know if this is true, though. Yeah, that's the thing, right? As much as he's a massive piece of shit, which is just apparent on how he sort of carries himself in his interactions online and how two-faced he looks with his pyramid scheme job that he does as a side gig or whatever. I've seen that sort of stuff kind of get thrown around here and there. That yes, he there apparently there's some record somewhere of him. There's some court record of him assaulting a woman. Also, then everyone's calling him a pedophile and stuff like that all the time too, which is everyone does that. I would never go so far as to like just say he's a pedophile or a spousal abuser or domestic partner abuser or whatever, without proof, without solid proof. I don't pay much attention to him. I just kind of like peeking on him every once in a while, see where he is, just to have a little laugh, because I knew he would be exactly where he is. Yeah, this is really good. Not a lager I drink a lot of, quite honestly. The dryness is pretty dry, like up to the point where it's like it's like dry like a brute IPA or something along those lines, like almost like that kind of champagne dryness, and compare and like sort of putting that together with the funkiness and the cheesiness and the horse blanket. It's a little rougher to drink. The saving grace on this is the fact that it's so light bodied. It makes it palatable. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing awful here. Although this is definitely for people who are familiar with Brett in their beers, familiar with that sort of that funky horse blanket, farmyard, barnyard, whatever kind of wild yeast kind of character and what that can bring to a beer. If you're not into that stuff, this would be. I don't know if this would be a good first sort of dip into that kind of stuff. It might turn you off, but like for anyone who's like a seasoned drinker of this kind of stuff, this is kind of interesting. Although I'd rather just have an Orval any goddamn day of the week than to buy any more of this, honestly. But it's good. And like I said, I've never had one of these before, but style wise, I can see the potential for this too. I can see where this can go, where like the yeast, depending on how you fit it in there and how you brew the beer, you could get all kinds of different flavors out of this thing. This is one of those things where you could like mix different hops in here and get different flavor profiles. So like that's kind of exciting, and I can see the potential for that sort of thing. And this is kind of playing it fairly safe. It's not super sour or funky or anything like that. But there's a good enough there for like beginners might be like but for me, I'm gonna throw 7.5 for style. I think that's pretty solidly fair there. I think it seems to be hitting all the things, most of the things it could hit to be like a solid 7.5. Personal preference, I'm gonna go 6.5. Would drink it again. Probably won't buy it again, but I would drink it again. That's kind of where I'm sitting on that. And Jake's asking opinion on the Halloween series. A couple really great movies and a lot of mid to terrible movies. Like Halloween 1, 2, and 3, I think are all really good. One and 2 being stone classics, 3 being like a real enjoyable sideways diversion. Part 4 is all right. Part 5 and 6 are not good, but they're watchable. H2O has not aged well at all. That's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, that was made in the 90s. I mean, it even boils down to the fact that he uses some music from Scream 2 in the soundtrack. Most people don't realize that, but it does. And that's part of and of course it's Kevin Williams writing that too or whatever, right? So that kind of the reason why it feels like a really bad Scream clone than a Halloween film. The next one, Resurrection, that's fucking hot garbage. I think everyone knows that sucks. It's kind of funny, if you want to see a bad movie and put it on, it's kind of funny, but it's one of those ones that just like totally blew its potential by let's put some rappers in it and have them like kung fu fight Michael Myers and quip at him and shit like that. Like no one needed to see that. But like the idea of like live stream cameras in like a reality show situation in the Myers house, and then like recreating like the shots of like Michael walking into the background behind characters from the first couple films. There was potential there for them to do something with that, with the live streaming and all that, but they blew it. They weren't interested in doing that. It was just a gimmick. So this kind of sucked. The Rob Zombie ones, they would have been better if they weren't called Halloween. I'll give him credit. Part 2, Rob Zombie decided he was going to make the movie he wanted to make, and he recreated Halloween, the original Halloween 2, in the first half hour as a dream sequence, which takes some balls. And then he went off into his Nights with White Satin, Moody Blues dream sequences and stuff, and they work as like competently made, super violent, super gory slasher films, and for the modern age. But slapping Halloween's name on them, I was never too impressed with that. Then the David Gordon Green series or whatever, the Blumhouse ones. The first one I liked, as like positioning it itself as like the true sequel to the original Halloween. I kind of like that. And they had kind of promised offhand that they weren't going to go any further, and they weren't going to make Michael Myers supernatural. He was just going to be a guy it was really hard to kill, but he was just a guy. And it looked like they were doing that. But as soon as that movie took off and got super popular, they made 2 sequels, and those 2 sequels, I think, just totally betray what they did in the first movie. And I have no use for them. Although, in, was it part 2? I think it's the second one. Yeah, it's the second one. Best Halloween fan film ever made, because you have that opening spot where it's, right after the end of Halloween 1. And they get that guy who's not even really an actor that they pulled on because he looks somewhat like Loomis, and they had him play Dr. Loomis. And that was great. That whole sequence was really great, but the rest of the movie is just and then Jake saying Rob Zombie always has to put his wife in it. Yeah, it must be in her contract or something. I don't know. Because I don't think too much of Sherry Moon as a actress all that much. She's okay in like House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, but outside of that, I'm not too fond of her. She gets kind of grating on me as far as her stuff goes, and it doesn't help that most of Zombies movies past Devil's Rejects are really diminishing returns to begin with. So, yeah. Anyway, we went on too long. This was a beer review. Yeah. So I'm going to end this one. I'll be back in like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or something with the second beer of my new Tatamagouche beers to try tonight. And so until then, I will bid you guys goodbye. Be good, and maybe some of you'll be back tonight or not. Maybe you're watching days from now, years from now, on YouTube 3.0, and I'm a hologram. And to you, I say good luck, because I'm probably dead. All right, be back soon.